News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Attorney General Fox proposes new anti-drug initiative for the state of Montana. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning, Thursday, April the 20th, 2017. A clear sky gives us 34 degrees in Missoula right now. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by First Montana Bank. They're your home for free centennial checking and unlimited cash back every time you use your debit card. One of our top stories this morning, the increase of drug use in Montana is obvious from reading jail rosters and newspaper and, of course, radio headlines. But Montana Attorney General Tim Fox says growth in substance abuse over the past 3 years is especially bad. Drug use has begun to stress the criminal justice system itself.
Our state crime lab there in Missoula has experienced a 143% increase in substance samples that test positive for methamphetamine and a 475% increase in substance samples that test positive for heroin. Unfortunately, an estimated 1 in 10 Montanans is dependent on or abusing alcohol or drugs.
Yesterday, Fox kick-started Aid Montana, an initiative to help change the way the state deals with substance abuse.
It's time to do something different. So we've partnered with the Montana Healthcare Foundation. We'll be doing a series of 6 town hall listening sessions across the state through the summer, and then we're going to have a major summit where we bring all of the stakeholders and interested people to come and talk about these issues.
The end goal is to gather evidence and opinions to help draft a plan to appear at the next Montana legislative session, which will be coming up 2 years from now. A 24-year-old North Central Montana woman has pleaded guilty to embezzling more than $420,000 from several businesses in just over 1 year while she worked for an accounting firm. The Great Falls Tribune reports Natalie Christine Crumley pleaded guilty yesterday to federal charges, including wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. She was released pending her sentencing in July. Crumley told U.S. District Judge Brian Morris she heard about the embezzlement scheme she used from a business owner who told her about another embezzlement case. Prosecutors said Crumley forged 112 checks from businesses between June of 2015 and August of 2016. Initially, she said she took the money to help her boyfriend's family, but she later admitted that she spent it on furniture, clothing, and travel, including a trip to the NCAA Final Four. Quote, "It's all gone," end quote, she said. Viewers of The O'Reilly Factor on Fox News found out yesterday that Bill O'Reilly, the 67-year-old anchor, had been fired over accusations of sexual harassment. Here in Missoula, KGVO News reached out to local attorney Quentin Rhodes, who described 2 main areas of sexual harassment in the workplace.
The first is the classic quid pro quo, where an employer expects an employee to perform certain acts in order to get a promotion. The other subset of that quid pro quo is if someone who's not as qualified gets a promotion because he or she acquiesces in some sort of a demand that the employer makes, then the folks who aren't promoted because of that can also have a human rights claim.
Rhodes said the second aspect is what's commonly called a hostile work environment,
where the boss is conducting himself along with some of the other workers in a way that makes people uncomfortable in a sexual manner, either by posting photographs, telling off-color jokes, or just a running commentary on people's looks or based on sex.
Rhodes said there are special protections for employees who lodge complaints about sexual harassment or discrimination in the workplace to protect them from retaliation. Anyone who may suspect that they're victims of sexual harassment or discrimination should contact the Montana Human Rights Bureau. State and local officials say a new $30 million water treatment plant means Butte will have some of the cleanest drinking water in the country. The Montana Standard reports the Basin Creek water treatment plant south of the city will treat water using a ceramic membrane filter system. Butte Silverbow Chief Executive Dave Palmer, speaking at a ribbon-cutting ceremony yesterday, said there's no reason for Butte residents to buy bottled water ever again. For decades, water from the reservoir was so pristine, a little chlorine was added, but no filtering was needed to make it safe to drink. Federal and state regulators determined the filtering was needed in 2011. The plant was funded by state and local natural resource damage funds. Attorney Shahid Haq Hazrath is a specialist in immigration law and works at the border crossing firm in Helena. He says he's currently working with around 1,500 people in Montana who are trying to navigate securing visas, green cards, and U.S. citizenship. Hazrath Hack Hazrath said the number of people seeking his help has doubled since President Trump's election in November.
Things have changed. There have been a lot more people applying for different benefits that they might, in some cases, always have been eligible for, but it wasn't a priority for them to apply for citizenship, for instance. I'd say I'm getting twice as many calls.
Hack Hazrath says fear seems to be the motivating factor.
People are applying for more things because they're more afraid. And it's not just people who are directly impacted by President Trump's executive orders, people from predominantly Muslim countries. There are people who are afraid who are from Europe, from Mexico, from Canada. And I think it's just because immigration affects everybody's livelihood. It's about your family, your ability to be here.
So who is trying to immigrate to Montana? The answer is unsurprising. Hack Hazrath says immigration to Montana is largely coming from U.S. neighbors, Canada, and Mexico. And a mandatory veto by Governor Steve Bullock will likely have little impact on the upcoming special election for Ryan Zinke's U.S. House seat. Montana Speaker of the House Austin Knudsen was asked whether or not the legislature would be called to vote on the mail-in only ballot proposal. He said, quote, "We have full boards with a lot of bills to get through over the next several days," end quote. Though the response wasn't a clear yes or no, a statement from Knudsen's spokeswoman Lindsay Singer is much more clear.
The governor used his power to shoehorn in a piece of legislation into a completely different bill. And seeing the mail ballot legislation for a second time doesn't change the fact that it's bad policy. The House has vetted this legislation already and has voted against it the first time around.
While anything is possible in the legislature, it appears that polls across Montana will be open for this election. A jury spent a third full day together but did not reach a verdict in the federal trial of 6 men who brought assault-style weapons to a standoff that stopped government agents from rounding up cattle near Cliven Bundy's ranch back in April of 2014. A court official said yesterday jurors will return to deliberations today in U.S. District Court. The jury deliberated about 3 hours yesterday before returning for full days Monday and Tuesday. The trial took 2 months. Each defendant faces 10 charges, including threatening and assaulting a federal officer, extortion, obstruction, weapons violations, and conspiracy. And finally, game wardens have rescued 2 black bear cubs orphaned after their mother was struck and killed by a truck on a road through Montana's Rocky Mountain front. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Warden Brady Murphy said the cubs were spotted running away from the crash Tuesday and were located Wednesday in their den. He said they were just a couple of months old, weighed about 5 pounds. The bears will be taken to a wildlife center in Helena. Officials say the driver of the vehicle was not injured in the crash. Our news talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy skies today with our high temperatures in the mid-50s. Showers and a possible thunderstorm this afternoon. Winds will gust up to 30 miles per hour. Tonight, showers likely early, overnight lows in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.